So, und da sind wir wieder bei The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Der Hintergrund hat sich wieder verändert, denn wir sind jetzt im englischen Gericht. Ryunosuke und Susato, wollte ich sagen, nicht Sasute, sondern Susato, sind in Großbritannien angekommen. Und um da die Study Tour von Kazuma weiterzuführen, muss sich Ryunosuke einem Test unterziehen von dem Lord Justice Minister Stronghold, glaube ich, hieß der. Denn wir wurden gleich in einen Gerichtssaal geschmissen von einem Herrn, der sonst keiner verteidigen wollte, der des Mordes angeklagt wird. Und diesen Herrn verteidigen wir jetzt. Das ist ein gewisser Magnus McGilded heißt er, ein reicher Mann in London, der verschiedene Parks gebaut hat und dies und das, und der gehört auf jeden Fall zur Oberschicht. Und er soll in einem Omnibus einen Brickmaker, einen Ziegelsteinhersteller, getötet haben. Und der Grund, warum ihn keiner verteidigen wollte, ist, dass uns gegenüber der Grim Reaper, der Sensenmann of the Old Bailey, des alten Burghofs, gegenübersteht. Barock Van Sieks heißt er, ein Staatsanwalt, der seit 5 Jahren nicht mehr im Einsatz war, aber auch so ähnlich wie Manfred von Karma oder Miles Edgeworth in den Hauptspielen, ja, so eine lebende Legende ist, die noch nie einen Fall verloren haben und all das, dies, das, bliblablub. Und, ja. Jetzt in diesem Gericht gibt es auch eine Jury, also Geschworene, die dann quasi entscheiden, ob der Angeklagte schuldig oder nicht schuldig ist. Und unsere Aufgabe ist es natürlich, diese zu überzeugen. Und im Moment sieht es so aus, dass die Zeugen, die alle zuerst behauptet haben, den Mord in dem Moment, wo es passiert ist, gesehen zu haben, alle gar nicht so genau gesehen haben, wie da was passiert ist. Und wie das Ganze jetzt weitergeht, gucken wir mal. Start playing from the saved game data, yes. What the witnesses really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moments the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attackers' hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness accounts. In other words, there's no substantial, no significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. What the witnesses really saw. Whoops. Moment, ganz kurz. Counsel. Okay. Counsel heißt auch Anwalt, okay. Ich dachte, das heißt sowas wie, ja, irgendwie, wo die stehen, aber Counsel heißt natürlich auch Anwalt. Okay, interessant. What the witnesses really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. Hold it! No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw, and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why? Your reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know. Ah, but for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Genau, der hatte ja einen Kredit aufgenommen, stimmt ja. Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? Well, that's not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win all back. There's a fixture this weekend, that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10? I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness' scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I remember seeing the knife and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. Oh, das sollten wir vielleicht aufpassen. Was war das? I suppose. Okay. You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands. Yes, sir. I mean, I know what I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves. That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. Okay. Also... Auf seinen nackten Händen sah die. Und er hatte keine Handschuhe an. Okay. I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard that scream.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything? Oh, yes sir, that's to say, no sir. I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you are insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir, I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed the good view of London Street, no? Oh please, you didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Ah! Oh Mann. Also warte mal, er hat nichts gesehen, weil es zu kalt war? Nothing at all. Okay. Anyway, the fact remains there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. Hold it! And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus. That's right, it was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember, I was shivering, it was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked. That's right, and it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you, I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring long and hard. Also, da war jemand drin. Oder was? Ah, okay. Public bus service forbidden, that's not what I call fair play. Same experience, I tried knowing about the grill inside, okay. But I can assure you, I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might not have been able to, denke ich. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You are riding this omnibus and witness the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? Hier einfach, oder nicht? Weil von hier oben kannst du ja nur hier runter gucken, auf die linke, und du wirst ja nicht sehen, was unter dir ist. Außer du sitzt da, aber da würdest du dich ja nicht umdrehen. Also ich denke mal schon hier.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and its attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, someone had been sitting on that seat. It's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Ah!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you are able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? Gute Frage. Ne, die beide waren ja auf dem Roof Deck. Ich speichere mal. Und würde dann sagen, ich habe keine Idee. Was sich falsch anfühlt, aber manchmal ist das auch the way to go in Ace Attorney. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Mr. Sato. Alright then, I go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. Okay, reiß dich zusammen, Rionosuke. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... Ich habe literally keine Ahnung. Ich speichere nochmal ab. Ich könnte mir vorstellen, dass es der Fairplay ist, weil der mit seinem Kredit ein Motiv hätte. Aber gleichzeitig, ich habe keine Ahnung. Ich habe absolut keine Ahnung. Wir machen es einfach mal. Ist das Fairplay?
Take that!
Yes, concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was none other than this unexpected passenger. Whatever so-called logic you use to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not. Because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. The real blind spot is inside your head, and it would appear to be unusually large. Okay. You could have just said that's not right. Mr. Naruhodo, our task here is to defend Mr. McGildet. And we are working on the assumption that he is innocent of this crime. Yes, of course. Why? That must mean then that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGildet, the true culprit. That's right. Exactly what I've been... Oh! Of course! So the two people sitting inside the cabin that the witnesses swore to the skylights at night. They were the victim and the real culprit. Ach so! It does seem that we've all been making a false assumption. The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGildet at all. Meaning he has to have been sitting somewhere else. Ah, okay. Danke für die Denkstütze, Leute. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was Magnus McGildet.
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGildet. Mr. McGildet? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Wie viele von diesen heiligen Kelchen hat er denn überhaupt? Lord Van Zeeks. People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGildet, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency? Counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claim that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
True. Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, the testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, the memory of events is correct, and the testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victims that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hand, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary! Damn. Order, Order, Order! Ich frage mich, ob dieses R in Order so einen britischen Akzent nachahmen soll. Ich weiß es nicht, aber ich find's lustig. What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of the hats were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them though. Aber das sieht doch schon gar nicht nach der Uniform von den McGildet aus. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGildet, would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Stimmt, warum hätte er nichts gesagt? Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation, so. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled. Ah! He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGildet would have been unaware of it. Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGildet, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, you will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGildet is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, should we ask Mr. McGildet to testify or not? Ich würde ja sagen, aber ich speichere lieber nochmal. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGildet to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the Jew. Ah, yes, I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGildet has to say. Get the man out here, I say. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGildet, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Baggett, no. 'Tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you all, or keep me mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded. The fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true! Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... What? Okay, also er ist auf jeden Fall Komplize. No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zieks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was... Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see? What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom, just like myself. But a little child? Okay. Little child. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. Guck mal, mich interessiert ganz kurz. Wie alt ist Van Zieks? 32, okay. Mit 32 schon graue Haare haben, imagine. Also ich meine, ich werde mit 32 eine Glatze haben, aber... And who was this young child of whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness statement to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Was? Ah, smoke! Fire! There's a fire! Look, someone's trying to get away! It's no use! I can't see anything through the smoke. What is going on? Was passiert hier? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. Ja moin. Ja moin, was geht denn ab? Oh mein Gott. Ah, yes.